So there's something that my video introduction said that was very interesting. So my video introduction, if you heard it properly, it said a very interesting statement, right? It said that I analyze data and trends, and then I suggest proven and tailored strategies, right? That's what my introduction video said. So now I'm going to stick to that same formula, okay? Because before I came onto this conference, I analyzed some data and I analyzed some trends, and there's something that I want you to note down today, okay? So I want you guys to take out your notebooks and your pens for this one, and I want you to remember one statement. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to take out your notebooks and your pens, and I want you to remember something, because this is something that I've analyzed, I've looked at properly, and I want you to know this. It's imperative that you know this, right? So this is what I want you to know. If you do not learn how to tell better stories for your brand, you'll be left behind, okay? So let me repeat that. If you do not learn how to tell better stories for your brand, you will be left behind, okay? And I'll tell you why. So I'm going to tell you why using 3 points, okay? I'm going to tell you why using 3 points. Let's look at the first one, okay? So firstly, statistics have shown that young Africans are facing a lot of challenges and a lot of distress due to financial and societal pressures, okay? So I believe the data is about 70%, if I'm not mistaken, okay? And the data of 70% or more is the reason why more than ever, we now live in a dopamine-induced society, okay? So what is dopamine? Dopamine is a chemical that's released on the brain, and it makes you feel good, okay? So when these people, remember, young Africans, which I believe most of us are targeting, so when these people who are facing challenges and they're distressed, when they come to your page, they are your target audience and your customers. When they come to your page, or when they log into social media in general, they want to feel good. In those minutes and those hours that they are logged on, they want to feel good. They want to forget about all these challenges. They want to forget about all this stress and all of these financial and societal pressures that they are going through. They just want to feel good, okay? And what helps them with that? Great storytelling. And I'll tell you how, okay? When somebody hears a story that has a hook, a twist, a cliffhanger, or a plot twist, so they know that, you know, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an ending. When somebody hears that, it releases dopamine in their brains. And this makes them feel more happy. It makes them feel motivated, and it makes them feel more focused, okay? This is why dopamine-induced TikTok, that's what I like to call it. This is why dopamine-induced TikTok grew so fast. This is why when you come onto Instagram, you will, if you compare a skit page and an educational page, you will see that the skit page will grow faster than an educational page because it has storytelling into it. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an ending, there's a plot twist. We are waiting to see what's going to happen. As soon as they hook us, we're waiting to see what's going to happen, right? This is why also, if you notice recently, Instagram keeps releasing dopamine-induced features, like the meme comments. I use that now a lot. So every time somebody posts something, I'll comment with a meme. A meme is just a few seconds, and it has a beginning, a middle, at the end. When you look at the meme, you will know exactly what I'm trying to say about how I feel about that piece of content without even saying anything. That's storytelling. And also, if you notice the new super personalized explore page, every time that I click something that I like, I notice Instagram will keep repeating that same type of content or that same brand, you know, to me, or a similar content, right? So that's the one reason. That's the first reason, that if you do not learn how to tell better stories for your brand, you will be left behind, okay? Now let's move on to the second reason. The second reason that if you do not learn how to tell better stories for your brand, you'll be left behind is the rise of artificial intelligence, AI. Okay? If we like it or not, if we want to embrace it or not, AI is going to be writing most of the content we will see going forward. It's not impersonal to content writers. It's just business. Because AI is faster, AI is cheaper. So businesses look at ways that they will make profit. So AI is something that's going to be writing most of the content, if not 90% of the content we're going to see online going forward is going to be written by AI. Okay? But now, what happens when AI starts writing majority of the content online? What happens? What do you think will happen? I'll tell you what I think will happen, or what I know will happen. Content is going to start looking like fast food, okay? Mass produced so much that it stops being nutritious. You know how fast food is. Fast food is like a factory. You know, I know this because I used to be a general manager at a fast food. It's like a factory. Everything looks the same. It's being made, the food looks the same, and it's pushed, and people are buying and buying and buying, and everything is mass produced. It's so mass produced that it stops being nutritious. It's not cooked with care. It's not cooked with love. It's just mass produced, right? So now, how do you stand out from this mass produced fast food content, where everybody's content is going to start looking the same because of AI? You're going to stand out by becoming a highly nutritious fine dining restaurant through storytelling, okay? And how you're going to do that is because stories are unique to you. Your stories are unique to you. Your observations, everything that you're going to tell about storytelling is going to be unique to you. It cannot be mass produced. AI cannot mass produce your stories that you've gone through. These are your own personal experiences. I believe, Digital Creator Chick, Joseph Dawn, the two people who spoke earlier on have said the same thing. All the games that Locke is asking you to play, if your brand was a food, what will it be? If your brand was an animal, what will it be? I saw yesterday people were saying, oh, if my brand was a color, it would be blue because it means the different experiences. We're talking about the same color, we're talking about the same thing, but people are telling it differently. That's how your stories are going to be unique to you. They cannot be mass produced. That's the only way that you will be able to stand out and sell more, because you have something that's unique to you, where your customers are logging on, they're saying the same thing. They need something different that will hook them in and release that dopamine, right? And this leads me to my last point of why, if you do not learn how to tell better stories, you'll be left behind, okay? So the last point is that stories sell. Storytelling is the most powerful selling tool of all time. And I have a case study that will demonstrate exactly that, okay? You may have heard this story before, okay? I want you to look at the screen. Look at the screen on the left and look at these items that are on the screen. Don't read the text. I just want you to look at these items, okay? So when you look at these items, what do you see? What is something that you see in these items that I've displayed for you on the text, okay? I'll tell you what they are. These items are normal thrift items. What does thrift means? It means that somebody has owned this item before. They are pre-owned and pre-loved by somebody else, and they are there. Somebody owned this before, and it's just right there. They're thrift items, nothing special. We see a cup, we see a piggy bank, we see a book, we see all of that. There's nothing special about these items, okay? But let me tell you the case study behind these items. So these were items bought on eBay by a New York Times magazine journalist. His name is Rob Walker, okay? So he bought 200 items in total, and they cost about $197. So about $1 average each. Okay, that's what he bought them for. So what Rob did is that he called 200 authors. He called 200 authors and he asked them to write a story to each object. Pick an object and write a story to it. Okay? Remember, Rob bought these items from eBay. Okay? He bought the items from eBay. He called 200 authors and he asked them to write a story to each object. He now went to the same eBay that he brought the items from for $1 each average. Remember that. He put these same items there to resell them. Okay? But now he added a story to each description. So when you list a product on eBay, you have the description. He added a story to each description. And I'll tell you what happened, okay? So an item that Rob bought for 99 cents, less than $1, he resold it for $62.95 with a story attached to it. And then when he finished selling all of these items that he bought for $197, remember that, he made nearly $8,000. $8,000 out of 197. What's the math on that? Somebody do the math on that. Do the percentage on that, okay? So why did Rob do this? He was doing an experiment because he wanted to determine, he's been hearing storytelling is the most powerful selling tool of all. Storytelling is the most powerful selling tool of all. He said, let me do the experiment and see if that is true. So this experiment, which you can check online, it's called the Significant Object Study. And he did that and he proved that right. Now, I know you must be thinking, but why is that? Why was he able to take an item that's $1, sell it for $62.95, bought items that were $197 and made $8,000 out of that? Why? What made it different? Obviously, he had the story, he added the stories to it. But what changed? Storytelling has the power to increase the perceived value of an item. And I'll tell you how. When people are watching a story or listening to a story that is good, they feel high levels of emotion. Remember dopamine that we talked about on point 1. They feel high level of emotion. And this emotion can be the excitement. It can be, they feel this high level of happiness. And when people feel high level of happiness, they become less objective and less critical about the price tag. Let's take it to real life. When people go to weddings or they go to naming ceremonies or they go to parties where there's high level of, excitement, everybody's dancing, you notice nobody starts thinking about the price. It's objective. Nobody's using logic. They're using emotions. You start spraying the money. You even take the money that you are meant to use to get an Uber at home. You start spending it. You are just happy. That's the same thing that happens when your customers come online and they see a story. If the story is really good, they will feel high level of emotions, right? And then they will start being less critical. They will start looking at less things. Oh, what is this? They will start becoming, less critical of the price. All they want to do is pay for that because you have made them feel good, okay? So I said I was going to give you 3 main points of why, if you do not learn how to tell better stories, you'll be left behind, okay? Now, I know you must be thinking, well, who are you? Who are you to tell me that if I don't tell better stories for my brand, I'll be left behind? Okay, you've said all of this, research of things that has happened to other people, things on eBay, AI, struggles and all of that. This is what the data says. But who are you? Who are you to tell me that? Okay. So my name is Yai. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Yai. And I would like to say that I'm a horrible marketer. I think, Lucky will tell you that. Digital Creator Chick will tell you when we met, I hated selling. I do not enjoy selling. Selling is not my thing. I'm not a hard seller. So because of that, I always say I'm a horrible, horrible marketer. But I'm a deep creative, okay? I'm a very deep creative, which means that I am a deep thinker, okay? And I'll tell you what I mean. That's the reason why I am here speaking with you today, but it's less about me. I'll tell you what I mean, okay? So in January 2022, okay, a young man came to me. He wanted to scale his elocution training business. He wanted to scale that by using content, to increase his leads. Now, this is important because if you know elocution, it's teaching people how to speak properly, how to be precise and all of these things. I say all of that to say it's not an exciting niche. It's one of those things that you will consider a boring niche. People don't wake up and say, oh, I'm excited on how to speak clearly and all of that. Most of us don't even pay attention to it, okay? So his brand was elocution training. That's what he does for people. And when he came to me, he had about 4,860 followers, and he was thinking of ways that he can grow. I worked with him, and then we used my story-based content strategy framework. And he went from 4,860 followers in February 2022 to 13,000 followers in June 2022. Okay, so that's in 3 months or so. And not only that, because we used one piece of content. I remember the day he went viral. I remember it vividly. It was a one piece of content, a single page content, but it was a story. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And people started resharing that. Big pages started sharing that. And then people started following his page. At the same time, he was also launching his program. Okay, he was, launching a course, a training to help people with elocution and speaking. Not only did his followers increase, but he exceeded his sales goals actually for the product that he was launching. And today, as I'm speaking to you now, he has over 100,000 followers for a boring niche, a niche that's not exciting. Okay, he used story-based content to grow that. That's number one. Number two is something that I call like an interesting problem. So in November 2022, which you can see on the left, a product-based business owner. And I want to put an emphasis on product-based because product-based people usually don't know how to create content outside of their product. Okay. So she came to me, knocking on my door with a very interesting problem. She said, yeah, I am making sales. That's not my problem. But I feel a disconnect with my customers. Basically, they will just buy and leave. I was like, that's very interesting. And she was doing really well for herself. But she wanted a deeper connection with her audience. Why is that? Because she felt like if she had a deeper connection with her audience, they will advocate for her brand. They will be ambassadors for her brand. They will, they will stay and they will buy more because we all know that it's cheaper to keep a customer than to try and go and get new ones. Okay? It's cheaper that way. So I worked with her and we developed a roadmap with an emphasis on storytelling. That was the main way she was going to use that to grow. Okay? And today, not only does she have an engaged audience on Instagram, she has also grown on TikTok in both followers and sales, and she now has a private community of over 300 women, okay? Using one single formula, storytelling, but not just any regular schmegular story. There are certain things that a story needs to have. It doesn't need to be something major, but I'm going to share that with you today. Not only am I going to share that with you today, I also give you a free resource that as soon as you finish this Grow Conference today that I'm speaking, you can start telling your stories tonight, write it, and then post tomorrow. Because not only will I tell you how to generate story ideas endless, but also how to write them. using templates that I've also pre-made for you. And I believe Digital Creative Chick will email that out to you. I've sent it to her and she will send that to you. So I say all of that to ask you this. I want to know, are you ready to learn how to leverage storytelling in marketing? Are you ready to learn how you can use storytelling techniques to build brand awareness, to generate leads, and to drive sales? I want to know, are you ready? Let me check the comments and see. Okay. I see Content Marketing Babe. I see International Nini. I see Mavis. Okay. You guys are ready? Let me know if you're ready. Let me feel that you are ready. Stories to really sell. Okay. There are some certain things that I want you to know. Okay. There's some certain things that I want you to know if you want to use storytelling to build brand awareness, to generate leads and drive your sales. There's something that I want you to know. You need to learn how to be a better storyteller, because my belief is that we are all storytellers. Every single day we wake up, we speak to our friends, we gossip, we talk about something. Gossip is considered storytelling, by the way. That's a fun fact. It's categorized under storytelling. Every single day we speak, as long as we are talking to another human being, we are storytelling. As long as we are typing something on our stories and coming on Instagram where we are storytelling. So I believe everybody is a storyteller. But what I want you to know is that if you want to use storytelling to build brand awareness, to generate, leads and to drive sales, you need to know how to be a better storyteller. Okay? A better storyteller, a better business storyteller. Let's put it at that. Because every day when we gossip and do all of these things, we are not necessarily, doing business storytelling. So here's what I mean. Okay? Let's first understand what a great storyteller is. Okay? So a great business storyteller is someone who can captivate, inspire, and connect with their audience on an emotional and intellectual level. Okay? And that's important because there are some people who I believe we all have these similar experiences. There are some people's content who captivate you. Maybe it's the designs, maybe it's the way that they framed it, or the way that they write it. You're like, okay, I like that person, and that's it. You watch it, you go on with your business. Okay? There's some people's content who's like that for us. Maybe we don't even follow them, or maybe we are following them, but we don't even pay attention. Or when we see them on, the feed, we are like, oh, nice, they can write, or they have nice designs, and that's it. We go. There's some people's content who they inspire us. We see them, we're like, oh, wow, they're doing really well. I'm inspired by them, but we don't feel anything for them. We don't feel anything for their brand. We don't really care. We don't speak about them outside of Instagram. We wouldn't recommend them if somebody asks and says, oh, do you know someone who can do this? We don't really even think of them. The reason why that is because we don't connect with them. We are not connected to them or their brand. We not connect to them on an emotional level or an intellectual level. So we don't connect with them. We may like their content, fine. They may inspire us, fine, but we are not connected to them. A great storyteller must be able to, you should be able to do both. You should be able to captivate your audience. You should be able to inspire your audience, and you should be able to connect with them on an emotional and intellectual level. For me personally, I would say the emotional level is even more important. Okay? There are some people that you connect with on an intellectual level, but you're like, okay, they're good, and that's it. But you don't connect with them on an emotional level. I was reading a study today, very interesting, this morning. So I am subscribed to this scientific research, thing that sends me data on different things. And one of the interesting things that I read today is brands nowadays, before they pay micro influencers. So micro influencers are between 15,000 and 100,000 followers, right? 10,000 and 100,000 followers. Let me look at the data because it came straight to my email, right? So the data was saying that when brands pay these micro influencers, before they pay these micro influencers, they are now paying attention to something because there's data that these brands have behind the scenes that tells them that when influencers tell stories, like they're speaking to a friend, it connects with their audience more. But at the same time, if they use that same technique to sell a product, that's when it converts more. So before a brand pays you $10,000, $5,000, they obviously want to get their money back. But there's data that only them have, that I paid for to see, that they know that it's the influencers who talk to their audience through storytelling, like, they're speaking to a friend, that convert more. I think we've all seen this type of people. There are some people who, on top of my head, I'll think of Lai Wasabi. Lai will be influencing for a brand, and his content will have so much engagement. I'll be like, what's going on here? Because he infuses that in the storytelling. Lai has characters, which, I've been studying him. He has characters. He has the lawyer, he has the interviewer who works in the office. He has the teacher. He has different characters. And if you notice his content, you will notice that he has characters. The character will go through something, and then there's a lesson at the end. It doesn't have to be a big lesson, but there's always a lesson at the end. I even watched one today before I came on, and I was laughing. And there's one where he was advertising about a driver, but the storytelling, it's like, even his comments, if you look at it, people keep saying, wow, I know this is the ad, but I'll still watch. Look at how you've talked about this, and we can't even feel it. Because we all know when you start selling to people, they start disengaging with your content, right? So you need to be able to connect to them on an emotional level, okay? And for you to do that as a great storyteller, there are some 3 important things that you must possess, okay? A great storyteller must possess 3 important things, okay? A great business storyteller. Let me clear that out. A great business storyteller must possess 3 important things, and I'll take you through each one, and I'll give you examples of how you can portray this, okay? You're here today, you're going to learn storytelling, okay? So the first thing is relevance. A great business storyteller must make their stories relevant to their audience and their purpose. They must tailor their stories to fit their audience's experiences, values, and interests. Okay? There's nothing worse than telling a story and your audience is like, okay, so what is in this for me? Your audience need to see themselves in your stories. The stories are about them. They're not about you. They're never about you. Even if you're talking about yourself, remember at the end, make it about them. It must be relevant to what they're going on. There's some things that I watch, I'm like, what does this have to do with me? I can't relate. So clearly, I'm not those people's target audience, because they're not speaking to my experiences, they're not speaking to my values, and they're not speaking to my interests. I don't relate to that. So you need to be able to talk about stories that fit your audience's experiences, values, and interest. You need to be able to do that. That's the first character trait of a great storyteller, okay? The second one, I think it's obvious from what we've gone through, right? A great storyteller must have empathy. Okay, what does that mean? It means that you should put yourselves in the shoes of your audience, right? You must be able to convey your audience's feelings, their thoughts, and their motivations. You should be able to do that. And I was going to talk about audience, how do you know all of these things that they're going through? But DCC covered that perfectly yesterday. So Lucky covered that perfectly yesterday. If you missed yesterday's session, you need to go back because she gave a very detailed and thorough way that you'll be able to know what your audiences are going through, okay? So you can go back to that. I won't spend time on that. But a great storyteller must be able to show empathy, right? You should be able to put yourselves in the shoes of your audience, and you should be able to convey these feelings. I'll tell you the stories that you can tell, for that. But let's go through these points. So the final one, okay? What must a great storyteller be able to possess? Creativity. A great storyteller should use their imagination and originality to craft unique, engaging, and surprising stories. Oh my God. If you pay attention to the things that capture you, they're unique. They're things that you're not expecting. Every time that you watch a reel or video and there's a unexpected ending, see how you feel. Think of yourself. You're like, wow, I wasn't even thinking of it that way. Oh, wow, this is not the ending that I was hoping for. Every time you watch those videos, I watch them all the time, where I was like, oh my God, this is not what I was expecting. Where they always say, wait till the end. I'm always waiting till the end to see what's going to happen. Then if it's something unexpected, I will laugh. I'll be like, these people are crazy or something. Then I'll go and check them more. Before you know it, I'm a fan. And that's just storytelling. They didn't come themselves to tell me, oh yeah, I'm this great person. They didn't come themselves and tell me, oh, this is all I've done for my business. It's just through that storytelling that I felt some emotion. Now I'm going to go look for them. Let's talk about movies, right? Or shows. I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I watch a show that's so good, that's so well done, or a movie, next thing you know, I'll spend 3-4 hours of my life looking up the characters, looking up their lives, looking up their Instagram, checking their things. What are these people even up to? Like just recently, I was watching Young, Famous, and African, and I came out. I don't think I was feeling happy. I was feeling a different kind of emotion, but I still felt something that made me go and check. In fact, what are these people even up to? Let me check what Andeli is even up to, because Andeli is like my favorite character in there. So I was like, let me go and check what Andeli is up to. By the way, I have I'll send an email list about business lessons I learned from that. I have, thorough business lessons. But just think of ourselves. When something is original, engaging, and surprising, we are like, wow, we want to know more about these people. We want to learn more about them. Before you know it, you're a super fan of these people and their brands. That's what you want to be able to do. You should be able to take something that everybody is, looking at, but you come up with new ideas, perspectives, and twists, and make your story stand out, okay? So how do you do that? I cannot tell you that a great storyteller must be this and that and not show you how to do that. The best ways that you can show relevance, that you know what's going on in your audience's world or your customer's world or your potential customer's world, the best way that you can show empathy to show that you understand, what they are going through. And the best way that you can show creativity to your audience through your storytelling is through 3 main types of stories that you can tell a million of it without people even realizing. Okay, let's start with the first one. The first one is observations. Okay, so this is actually even really good for people who are here today who feel like, yeah, I don't have any interesting thing going on in my own world, or I don't have any stories to tell, or there's nothing that I want to share, or I don't even want to share my stories. Like, that's not what I want to do on this Instagram. That's fine. But you know what you have? Observations. All of us are always observing. We have opinions of everything. Even if we say it loudly, or even if we don't say it loudly, we have observations of everything that's going on. But here's the twist. Your observations should be things that are happening in the world of your customer. Not just regular observations. They should be of things that are happening in the world of your customer. So this can be things like social media, mental health, finances, relationships, pop culture. What is happening in your customer's world that you are paying attention to right now? Social issues, technological issues, financial issues, economical issues. And how can you tell stories that will highlight that you understand things that are relevant to them? How can you bring it back to yourself and tell your observations of things that are happening, right? So when we get to the Q&A, you can tell me about your niche or ask me, yeah, I'm in this niche or this, what are observations, or this is what I've observed. How can I tell a story and relate it back, okay? But why is it important that you tell observations? When customers feel that you understand their struggles, they will also feel that you have the solution to those struggles. When people tell you that I understand what you're going through, you're like, okay, you understand what I'm going through, then that means you have solution to this. So how, by the time we are ready with this session, you should come out with at least 30 stories, okay? 30 stories that we can begin from, and then you can take it from there. So how do you tell these stories, these observations? This is what I want you to do, okay? I want you to list out, let's start with 5. Let's not make it complicated. Start with 5 social issues that are affecting your audience. List them down. List 5 financial issues that are affecting your audience. List 5 technical issues that are affecting your audience. Is it that they cannot use their cards? Is it that they cannot run Facebook ads? Whatever it is, write 5 technical issues. Write 5 economical issues that are affecting your audience. Everybody's experiences this cost of living. Over here, our bills are getting higher every day. Every time I see a letter come through, I'll just open and say, okay, somebody has increased, a bill for something, electricity, water, this, that, internet. I'm like, I'm tired. These are all of the issues. If somebody that I know right now made content, I believe somebody did, talking about, how our bills are increasing over here in the UK and how that will affect my business going forward, how that will affect creating, how that will affect everything. I'm going to relate to that. That's what I'm going through right now. So what I want you to do is write 5 social issues. And what I've done is I've created like a workbook for you. It's free. Like I said, Digital Creator Chick will send it to you. Lucky will send it to you. You can check your emails after that. I've created a workbook that will allow you, the pictures right here, to list all of this down. But not only that, it will also show you how to write these stories. I break it all down, tell you here, write the hook. Okay, give a background of the story. What do you want your audience to learn? What's the call to action? I want to remind you, because the thing that I see with stories is that people can start a story, then we are excited, but then there's no middle. I'm like, where's the middle? But the one thing, the main mistake that people make is they will start a story, then there's a beginning, there's a middle, you're excited, and there's no end. I'm like, okay, what did you want us to do? And the end doesn't have to be something extravagant, like I went from $100 to $3 million. No. It doesn't have to be all of that. The ending can just be something simple. Is it A from B? Did you learn that, oh my God, you shouldn't be checking your phone whilst you are on live because it will distract you? What did you learn? Or what do you want your audience to learn? There has to be an ending. So in this workbook, I remind you specifically, what do you want people to do with this story? What's the moral of this story? Even if it's a single line, remember to write them. And like I said, Lucky will send that to you. So list 5 social issues affecting your audience. List 5 financial issues that are affecting your audience. List 5 technical issues that are affecting your audience. List 5 economical issues that are affecting your audience. And start telling stories for each one of them. By the time you're done, you will have 20 stories. Okay? So that's one. Let's now move on to the second type of stories that you can tell. These are experiences. Okay? Experiences are things that you have gone through in the past or you're going through recently as it relates to what your customer may be going through. It's not just things you have gone through all willy-nilly, but it has to relate to what your customer may be going through. And like I said, watch Lucky's replay to see how she broke down how to know what your customers may be going through, okay? So experiences is very broad, so I want to break it down. Your experiences can be mistakes you've made. It can be struggles. It can be risks. You can tell stories around this to show your customers that you've been in their shoes. Remember, we talked about empathy. To be a great storyteller, you need to be able to show empathy. How do you show empathy? You show people that I've been there before. When you're going through something and you're telling it to somebody, notice who the people will gravitate towards. Every person that I call my mentor or my distant mentor is because they have shared something that they went through, that I'm currently going through, or I have been through before. It never, most of the times, it has less to do with their business information. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like what they know in business, I know that too. But it's the story of things that they have overcome that I am trying to overcome, that they share, that I'm like, oh, I love this person. You know, you guys see me share about Donnie, because Donnie has shared so many things that she's gone through that I am currently going through, and I can relate to that. So think of the mistakes, the struggles, and the risks that you have gone through, that you can show your customers, I have been there before. And you don't have to come out of these stories to say, oh, I have been there before and now I'm this perfect person. No, you can just say, I've been there before and I've learned this, or I've learned that, right? So when you share these stories, these experiences, it increases relatability. People will be able to relate to you. At the same time, it increases credibility and trustworthiness. So this can help you generate leads and sales. There are some people that I just share little things on my Instagram stories. I was telling this to Lucky today. I was like, last week, I launched on a different platform. Like, I did a quiet launch, and I said, let me reward myself with TV, because I don't like watching too much TV. So I went to watch Young, Famous, and African. And all I did was just play around on my stories. I was like, oh, I'm watching this. Let's see what's happening. Then I just talked about the power of storytelling of Louise, this, and that. Somebody just replied and said, yeah, how much will it be to pay you for you to help me tell better stories? Because whatever that I highlighted with my experience there, even though I was playing around, is something that they can relate to. I'm speaking to somebody who's like, okay, this is something that I'm going through. And it wasn't even about me. It was about Louise. I was saying how Louise, or Louise, whatever you pronounce it, told his story, and everybody started liking him straight away. Maybe this person feel like if I tell my story, people will like me better. So they want to learn that. So share your experiences, even if you feel like this is trivial, share it. All a story needs to have is a beginning, middle, and an end. That's it. Share experiences, share mistakes, and all of that. So how can you tell these experiences, right? We'll be over soon. We have one last type of story, and then we'll be over soon. List 5 mistakes that you have made in your business journey. Start from the beginning. List 5 mistakes. It doesn't need to be something big, but list 5 mistakes that you have made. List 5 struggles that you have experienced in your business journey, or in your journey in general, if you have a personal brand. List 5 risks that you've took in your business journey. We all take risks. We all do. Every single time for our businesses. List all of these things that, 5 mistakes, 5 struggles, and 5 risks. Start telling stories around that. And like I've said, I've created a workbook for you to make this easy for you to create. So 20 stories plus 15. We actually have 35 stories so far, and we are not even done. Okay? 35 stories so far. Okay? Let's now talk about the last one. Okay? So this is for people who have your business, you've started it, you've gained some clients and stuff. Because for observations and experiences, newbies can create that. If you've never had clients, or if you don't have enough customers, share observations of your customers, the people that you want to attract, your potential customer story. Share your experiences. Those things have nothing to do with the business, the mistakes, the struggles, and all of that. So use that if you feel like, I don't have these big stories to tell, or I don't have clients, or all of that, or I don't have enough customers, okay? But when it comes to journeys, this is for businesses or brands who have, you have a little bit of clients, you have started, you've got some customers as well. So journeys are journeys of people that you've helped, and how. You are telling these stories to show your customers that you have the expertise and you have the experience to solve their problems. because we all know we want people who can solve our problems. I started this session with telling you what the research says about storytelling. Then I moved on to tell you who I've helped with storytelling. It was intentional. It was intentional because I wanted to show you that I have the experience and the expertise. If you notice, I started with observations. I told you about things I've observed with, Africans, young Africans, going through struggles and all of that. I've told you what I've observed with AI and it being fast food induced content. I've told you what I've observed with the eBay. That's something that I've read. Okay. So I've told you that. Then I shared my experience. Throughout this session, I've been sprinkling in my experience. I've told you about young, famous African, how somebody contacted me because of that. Everything that I'm teaching you now is everything that I've done throughout this speech, throughout this session, right? And then I shared journeys. I told you about Sam. I told you about Glory. These are people that I've helped and how I helped them, okay? So this is what I want you to do. Share journeys of people you've helped and how. How did you do it? It always has to have a middle, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Sam came to me because he wanted to, scale his elocution training. This is how I helped him. At the end, this is what we did. Okay? So how do you do that? List 5 people you've helped and how. Where were they before they met you? Okay? Where are they now that they have encountered you and your brand? And in this workbook, I show you, how exactly you can tell these stories, right? Okay. So that's it. List 5 people you've helped and how. Remember, talk about where they were before they met you. What did they want? How did you help them? And what's the ending? Okay. So those were the 3 different types. Remember, you have limitless observations. Limitless observations. I always say, like, oh my God, sometimes I'm like, why didn't I make my brand a personal brand? I think my brand will end up being a personal brand because I have so many things that I want to share. But because I boxed myself with content strategy, launching, sometimes I feel like, oh my God, I cannot talk about this. So if I had a personal brand, I'll be able to, because I have so many observations. All I do is observe. I'm always paying attention to A, B, C, D, what's going on. Every time somebody does that on their page, I'm like, no, my God, I want this job. I always send it to Victor and Lucky. I was saying, like, I want this job. I want like a job where I'm just sharing my observations, right? So I say all of that to say you have limitless observations as it relates to your customer, what they're going through, social issues, technological issues, financial issues. Like, share all of those. You have limitless experiences, since you were young to now. If you sit down and think about it properly and do deep thinking and deep work, you will know that you have limitless experiences. When it comes to journeys, okay, if you don't have customer journeys, share your own personal transformation journey. When you used your own product or your own formula and all of these things, how did it transform? Right now, I can tell a story from what I've experienced today. I can tell a story of, how I came up with this framework of how to tell better stories. Then I use that same framework to deliver a speech at the Grow conference. And this is the ending. At the end, I can track, how this has helped you guys. And this is, you can give me feedback and I can say, what's the lesson I've learned at the end? This is something I can do right now. So stories are everywhere. Share your experiences, share your journeys, share your personal transformations, right? Okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I started by saying, if you do not learn how to tell better stories for your brand, you'll be left behind. That's what I said. But that's not going to happen to you if you've attended the Grow conference today, because nobody here will be left behind if you apply what I've shared today. So if you applied what I've shared today, you are not going to be left behind, okay? I am not here to sell to you. I have nothing to sell. But I have a freebie that I have given you that you can use so that you will not be left behind, okay? So The storytelling workbook is for only, you will not find this. Go onto my link in my bio. You will not find this on my page. It's nowhere. There's nowhere. Even if you're on my email list, even if you are inside BTC Hub, it's not there. This is just for people who have attended the Grow conference, okay? So it has unlimited stories. It's free. Unlimited stories generator for brand awareness, connection, and sales. It has all the stories that I've told you now. If you feel like, okay, what shall I write? Come back to this video. I believe the replay will be up on YouTube. It has the type of stories to connect with your audience, the type of stories for brand awareness, the type of stories for sales, traits of a great storyteller, which I've told you, how you can generate stories. And it's a workbook. So you can just use that, print it out if you want, write down all your observations. Let's start with that. Even if you don't start with anything, write down things that you've observed. 5 things that I've observed that are going through with my audience, social issues, so that your brain I want your thinking to be structured. Okay? So let your thinking be structured so that you can come out with many ideas. What are 5 economical issues that are going through in my audience's world? Write those down. Okay, what are 5 social issues that are going on? Is it mental health? Is it this? What exactly is it? Is it there's an increased anxiety with young people now? There's an increased anxiety with creators. What is it? People are more skeptical. What is it? Write it down. 5 observations, 5 social issues, 5 technological. What are 5 financial issues? They're endless. Financial issues are endless. Write those down, okay? Write everything down. At least if you don't start from anywhere, start with that, okay? So, I believe I'm done now. Once again, my name is Yai, and you can find me on Proccess Toolbox on Instagram, okay? You can find me on Proccess Toolbox on Instagram. And I want to thank Lucky. I want to thank you for having me. I want to thank you for trusting that I will deliver value to your audience. So I want to thank you for inviting me. I want to thank the panel as well. I know it takes a lot, to come in, wait for the speaker, and then do your own session afterwards. Everybody has, busy lives going on. So I want to thank the panel as well. The moderator, Adesua, thank you. Thank you, for showing up for Mama. Thank you for that. And also the speakers. So I believe we have 3 more. We have tomorrow, we have Thursday, we have Friday. Victor will be speaking on Friday. So if you don't know Victor's my business partner.
We have YV Inc.
Yes, Y&V. So we have BTC Hub, we have Y&V Consultancy, and Victor is my public speaking coach. For you who have followed me, for a while, if you notice that I've been showing a bit much on video, or if you like my speech today, just know that I have a public speaking coach. His name is Victor Okafor. And
yes.
He trained me, and we have a public speaking course inside BTC Hub. I believe he has a public speaking course that will be live on Saturday as well. But I want to thank you guys also for showing up for your businesses and your brands. And I hope you guys will stay till the end of the conference to enjoy everything. Victor will be speaking on public speaking. So make sure you tune in for that. And I'm ready to take on any questions that people may have. I'm ready to take on any questions.
Guys, drop your questions. See the way I'm shaking. Oh my God.
So I'm going to stop sharing so that I can take questions, right? So that it will just be you and me.
Thank you so much, Yai, for doing this.
Oh, let me read that. He said, you are amazing. Who's Victor? Please.
Amazing.
Who's Victor?
It's Victor that is asking. Don't mind him.
I think Victor was here to observe me because one of my assignments was to speak publicly. So I hope I did a great job. Okay. So Ada said, God bless you. Yeah, thank you so much, Ada. Thank you. And thank you, Charis Love. Thank you. Thank you, Priya. Thank you. Hey, so do you guys have any questions on everything that I have? Thank you, Susan. Thank you. On anything that I've covered here today. I am happy to take your questions. Okay. I want to clone your brain. In fact, I want to clone my own brain because there's so many things I want to do.
Me too. Mama, come and
Intentionally.
give me
Thank
small part
you.
of your brain. Please. I need it.
Comfort. Oh, Joe Tayo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If I butcher your name, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys. So this is time for Q&A session. So any
Mhm.
questions you might have for Yai during the course of this session, please drop them in the comments. Drop them in the comments. I'm going to highlight your question so Yai can answer them in the next 10 minutes. Please, before we move on to the panel session. So any questions you have? No questions. Wow. Love this song. Love this. Oh my God. Look at my notes. Yeah, Janet. This is really beautiful. How? Okay. So we have a question here.
Okay.
It's on the screen. And the question is from Bread Weeks. I just hope I don't butcher your name like I said. Bread Bread Weeks. Um she says, how do you overcome the fear of storytelling, ma'am?
Okay. So, Braidwigs, tell me what exactly is the fear? Are
Yeah,
you
that's
fearful
very
of
broad.
sharing your own personal stories? Are you fearful that people will not connect with your stories? What are you exactly fearful of?
Yeah, I think you should, Bread Weeks, please drop a more detailed question so that you can get
Yeah.
a better answer. That question is very broad. So we have another question from Art Lover. How can I show the
Mhm.
journey of a customer who bought my jewelry?
Oh, yes. So I like this because I work with a lot of product-based businesses. How you can share the journey of a customer who bought your jewelry. Remember, I always say a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay? So it started with this customer contacting you, I believe. Okay? And then write down all of these stages. It started with them contacting you, you guys negotiated price, delivery, and all of that. Then you went into your stash, check the ones that you have, you put it inside, a delivery box, you gave it to the dispatch driver, they sent it, then the customer gave you the feedback that they've received it. That's the journey, okay? So if you're going to show this journey, I will start with, maybe send a customer order with me as the title, and then you can now tell the story of a customer contacted me, this is the jewelry they liked, and then we negotiated on price, exactly what I've just said. They now went for this, called the dispatch driver, sent it, gave it to them, got it there. What happened in between? When you're telling stories, the things that make it interesting is the conflicts, the little
Yeah,
things that happen in between. Did the delivery driver not send it on time? What happened? What are the little things in between? Share those, and then at the end, the feedback that the customer gave you that they've received it. Remember, there has to be an end. Then what's the lesson that
yeah,
you learned? If the delivery driver didn't send it on time, did you learn that always have backup? If the customer couldn't tell between the prices or they couldn't differentiate between your products, did you learn that you should do better descriptions? What did you learn that you want your audience to take from that? So that's how I'll share that. Yeah.
thank you very much, Yai, for that feedback. That was really detailed. My God, thank you so much. So I believe Art Lover has gotten an idea from this. We have another question. Can educational posts involve storytelling?
Absolutely. 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 Every storytelling is just, I don't know why people like to complicate. Storytelling is just something that has a beginning, middle, and end, and there's a plot twist in there somewhere, right? So, educational post, I have a series that I do called If I Were to Launch. I'll consider that storytelling because I'm telling you what I will do if I were to do
Yeah,
something. I'm telling you a story. Even though I'm teaching you the story, if I were to launch, it's not for me. I'm not going to launch all of those brands. I believe I've written 20 or so now. I'm not going to launch all of those businesses, but I'm telling you a story of taking you through a journey. I said, if I were to launch this, this is what I would do. If you notice, I always start with that. Then I'll tell you, this is what I would do, right? This is what I'll do. I'll do this. I'll do this. Then at the end, I'll give you an ending of that. So that's an educational post, but I'm using storytelling to take you through a journey. I'm not launching those. Yeah.
okay, thank you very much,
So
Yai, for that. We have another one. You don't have
Oh,
to
okay.
be in front of the camera to tell stories.
Absolutely not. If you see my brand, do you see me on camera? Today I showed them on camera because of Lucky. Digital creator chick is special to me. So I said
Yes,
today
I
I must,
am.
yeah, I have to show up on camera because of her. So that's why I showed up on camera to just ask people to come and join the conference. You don't have to show up. If I were to launch, it's not me on camera. If you look at my Instagram stories, I take you through a story, but I do it differently. I post my to-do list for the day, then I take you throughout my day as I accomplish all of the things that are on my list. I'm not mostly there, but I'm taking you through a story. There's a beginning. This is me waking up, doing a to-do list. There's a middle. This is me taking you out through the end. And there's an end. So, if you want to watch my stories, you will see after this session, I'll do an ending and talk about things I've learned from today. And that will be the end. And I always say good night so that everybody knows that the day has ended. Let's go and sleep. Tomorrow we start. Yeah.
Thank you. I think in addition to what Yaya said, storytelling must not all be this emotional pity party kind of story. Stories.
Sorry, I'm reading. Emanuela said one thing about you. I should
Okay.
come ready with a workbook. That made me laugh.
That's true. That's true. That's really true.
Emanuela, you know me too well. Sorry, go on, Mama.
Yeah. So I was saying storytelling must not be you saying doing pity party things. Pity party, oh, I was here before, now this happened. Oh, wait. It must not always be something about bad something. Something bad must not always happen before you can tell a story. Like what Yaya has said. She does that on her Instagram story. Sometimes to be from a movie that she's watching. She'll just take you through a journey with that movie. Exactly. It's not about something being bad. Oh, the dispatcher did not deliver, and then this one. No, it does not. I think people have a misconception about storytelling when it comes to this part. It has to be about something that is bad, and then something good happened, or it has to be something that led to a good thing, and there has to be a happy ending. See, storytelling must not lead to a happy ending. It might lead to, oh, you're just feeling inspired, or you just shared an idea with us. Sometimes it can even be educational. Like I educate you through a story. So I'm moving you through a story, like how she has said. Start with her to-do list. From her to-do list, she goes to the movie she's seen. From that movie she's seen, she takes you to something else. She's taking you through a journey. That's what storytelling is. So storytelling is a journey. Just once you start to see storytelling as a journey, you'll be able to do it differently. So everything is not about saying, in the year was 2050. The year was this. In 2019, no, it doesn't have to always be that. Storytelling does not always have to be that. So that's the additional thing I would like to add to that.
I think we have some more questions, Mama.
Yes, we have more questions. So this one says, how do you share stories related to graphic design and social media management?
Okay. So graphic designing, let's start because there's two you've mentioned here, graphic designing and social media management. Just like I've shared today, who are you targeting? The people that need graphic designers, who exactly are you targeting? Is it creators? Is it solopreneurs? Is it big companies? Okay. So you've understood what are those people going through with graphic designing. Like if you use me as an example, I don't like design. I like really pretty things, but I cannot design. Lucky will tell you, Lucky will say, Mama, you don't know how to format. I said, yes, I don't know how to format because I don't know how to design. Design is something that I just wish I knew, but I don't have that skill. So what am I going through? But I like aesthetic things. I like things that are pretty, but I don't know how to design. So what is going on? To me, I feel like in my internal wall, if I show my designs and they're not done properly, it shows that I don't really care about my job, and I deeply care about my job. Right? So these are the things that I'm going through. What are the things that you've observed? Like I've said, what are the things that you've observed that is relating to the people that you are targeting? What are the social issues? I feel some type of thing. I feel like an imposter. What are the financial things? I don't want to pay for, graphic design. Like I cannot pay for it, or I wish I could, but I want to make more sales. So these are the things that you will tell. And also talk about, I wish somebody would talk about the origins of graphic design, like the stories behind graphic designers and the stories behind the designs. I wish somebody would talk about how Netflix will always change their thumbnails. I pay attention to Netflix. Today I wake up, it's one movie. The thumbnail is this. I go past through it. Tomorrow I wake up, they've changed it. It's like they're trying to trick me to watch it. They will not bring somebody else. Like Talk about all of these things. What are the things you observe with graphic designs? What is this new thing with companies now wanting less fonts? I've noticed there's this minimal thing going on. Logos are now simple. Talk about those stories. Those are the things that you can talk about. The same thing with social media management. Who are you targeting? What's happening in their world? What is your experience with that? Share that. That's what I would say.
Oh, thank you very much for that. So we have a lot of questions and we'll just run through them. So the person
Yes.
that was asking about fear of storytelling, she said, I get stuck when I'm telling a story, especially in a situation where I start my story, but I can't seem to be able to end it.
Perfect. This is why I created the workbook. Emanuela said, one thing about me, I'll come with a workbook because I know this is the issue. People start the story, they give you a context, but now they don't know what to end. I'll always say, start with the ending. Start with the ending. What do you want people to learn from this? If you notice on my speech today, the moral of this story, I've said so many things today, but if you could tell the moral of this story today is that I started with one line. That's the line I started with. My line was, if you do not learn how to tell better stories for your brand, you'll be left behind. That's the moral of the story. So that's all I knew, like that's the moral of the story. So now I use that to start the story, take you through, and then I ended the story with that same line to remind you that this is the moral. So start with the ending, then tell the story. Okay, that's how you can solve with that. Braids by
Thank
Mitch.
you. Sometimes while typing my stories, I'm always scared that people won't relate to my story and I eventually give up. I think okay, yeah. Do you have something to say? How can I deal with that?
Yes. So not everyone will relate to the story, and that's okay. When I started my page, if you go down, you will see I was telling
Exactly.
stories about Martin Luther King scandal. If you go down on my page, you will see it has 5 likes. I left it there for proof. People could not relate then. What did I mean, Martin Luther King's to-do list or this and that? People could not relate then. But I kept telling different stories until I found the ones that people can relate with. I noticed that if I talk about movies, that's it. People will, send me messages, do this and that. I said, okay, let me stick to movies and shows. Like, tell more of it, and then you will find that one. Just tell yourself you're experimenting. Don't worry about it. So yeah.
Yeah. And then another thing, your story is not for everybody. That's one
Yeah.
thing you should also know. It's not for everybody. Share it for the people who need it.
Yes.
Can I use text to tell the stories rather than videos? I think that answer is yes. You
Yeah,
can use
I
any
answered that.
format.
I said yes, you can use
Yeah.
educational text and all of that. As long as it has a beginning, middle, and end, and there's a plot twist somewhere, it's a story. It doesn't have to be video. Yeah.
Someone says, how do I share my experience through videos as a natural hair content creator?
Okay. So, Tune Miss, I hope I've said that right. Natural content hair creator. Remember, I always say it's not about you, it's about your audience, right? But if you can't talk about your audience and you want to share about you, take us through the journey. So, an example can be, what are you doing with your hair today? Come with me as I moisturize my natural hair today. Start with that. Take us through, set the scene. You know how in movies they always set the scene, then we see something is about to happen. You've got your natural hair products, I imagine, in here, your conditioner, you set the scene, you tell us, come, moisturize my hair with me. That's the beginning of the story. Now you take us through what's happening. When you did it, did you forget to put something here? What did you do? What's happening in there? At the end, what did you learn? On that particular day of you moisturizing your hair, what did you learn? And what do you want your audience to take from it? That's a story. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. The final question, let's take this final question. Can you recommend 3 top storytelling books?
Yes. So I would recommend books, but I'll also recommend something else. So the first book will be Sell with a Story by Paul Smith. Sell with a Story. The second book will be Story Brand by Donald Miller. So Sell with a Story by Paul Smith, Story Brand by Donald Miller. Then the third thing wouldn't be a book. It would be a masterclass by myself and Victor, and it's called Business Storytelling Masterclass. That's what I would recommend.
All right, amazing. Thank you very much for that. We still have lots of questions here, but most of the questions are the same thing. Like They're just saying, how can I
Can
tell
I
stories?
read? Am I? Do we have enough time for me to read
We
through
just
them?
have 1 more minute. It's just the same
Oh, oh,
questions. How
okay,
can I tell story for my brand, for my soap brand, for my shoe
okay.
brand, for my
So get the workbook and learn from that. Thank you,
yeah.
guys. So we have
Thank you
gone
so
through the
much,
minutes. We want
Yai.
the panel to come in. Bye.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Show Yai love. Thank you, Yai. Yo, everybody. Thank you, Yai, for coming to today's session. I learned a lot. I learned so much. Thank you, Yai. Thank you so much for that amazing session. It was really eye-opening. I appreciate you so much.